Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunjabi Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanacha Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm going to chant together text 20, Canto 9, Chapter 11. Lord Ramachandra rules the world. Nedam yaso raghupate sura yachnayata Lila tanor adika samya vimukta dhamna Raksho vadho jaladi Badhanam astrapungai Kim tasya shatru hanane kapaya sahaya Nedam yasho raghupate sura yachna yata Lila tanor adika samya vimukta dhamnaha Raksho vadho jaladi badhanam astrapughai Kim tasya shatru hanane kapaya sahaya Ugai. Ladies? Na, not. Idam, all these. Yashaha, fame. Raghupatehe, of Lord Ramachandra. Sura Yashnaya, by the prayers of the demigods. Ata Lila Tanoho, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Adhika Samya Vimukta Dhamnaha, no one is greater than or equal to him. Raksha Vadaha, killing of the Rakshasa Ravana. Jaladhi Bandhanam, bridging the ocean. Astra Pughai, with bow and arrows. Kim, whether. Tasya, his. Shatru Hanane, in killing the enemies. Kapayaha, the monkeys. Sahaya, assistance. Translation. Lord Ramachandra's reputation for having killed Ravana with showers of arrows at the request of the demigods, and for having built a bridge over the ocean, does not constitute the factual glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, whose spiritual body is always engaged in various pastimes. Lord Ramachandra has no equal or superior, and therefore he has no need to take help from the monkeys to gain victory over Ravana. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the Vedas, Svetashvatara Upanishad 6.8, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, natat samaschabhyadikashya trishyate, parasya shaktir vividaiva shruyate, swabhavaki jnana balakriyacha. Translation. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do. and no one is found to be equal to or greater than him. For everything is done naturally and systematically by his multifarious energies. The Lord has nothing to do. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Semicolon. Whatever he does is his pastime. The Lord has no duty to perform to oblige anyone. Nonetheless, he appears to act, to protect his devotees or kill his enemies. Of course, no one can be the Lord's enemy, since who could be more powerful than the Lord? There is actually no question of anyone's being his enemy. But when the Lord wants to take pleasure in pastimes, he comes down to this material world and acts like a human being, thus showing his wonderful, glorious activities to please the devotees. His devotees always want to see the Lord victorious in various activities, and therefore to please himself and them, the Lord sometimes agrees to act as a human being and perform wonderful, uncommon pastimes for the satisfaction of his devotees. This is the day of the year where we celebrate or honor the appearance of Lord Ramachandra. This is a nice purport explaining why he appears, the glories, his glories and the glories of his appearance. Probably most of you know, but it's really fascinating in one sense that Valmiki wrote the Ramayana prior to Lord Ramachandra's appearance. In what yuga did Lord Ramachandra appear? Treta Yuga. And Valmiki lived in Satya Yuga. He performed the austerities that he performed for 40,000 years, after which he wrote Ramayana, before the pastimes happened. Pretty cool, huh? And then they happened. And this means the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra are literally eternal. And then sometimes they're manifest, and sometimes they're not manifest. And those who are pure in devotion, even those pastimes that are not manifest within their heart can be manifest. That's a whole other dimension of Krishna consciousness. But when the Lord manifests his pastimes, he does so to attract the hearts and the minds of his devotees. Here we're hearing Prabhupada say 3 times, the Lord, it's not possible for him to have enemies. So let's just speak for a moment about the fact that he has no enemies. What's Ravana? He's definitely inimical. Look what he did. Stole Sita. Tried to have his military kill Ramachandra. He deployed this general and that general and this army and those spies and conspiring, and I mean, he was behaving like an enemy. But so he has no enemies means from the Lord's side, he has no enemies. So persons may behave towards him as enemy, and then he'll reciprocate, oh, you wish me to be your enemy. Okay. But he's not feeling enemy-like or inimical. That rascal. Although in his Leela, he will sometimes say such things. It's a mystery. Let's step back. if one thinks of he who is transcendental to be like us who are not transcendental, it's a mistake, and we won't understand him. So to understand him, go the other direction, we must understand that he's transcendental. And that what the verse is saying, so it just mentions two of his unlimited pastimes. Two, one being killing Ravan with showers of arrows upon the request of the prayers of the demigods. One. Two, he built a bridge with stones across the ocean. 800-mile bridge with stones floating. So those are two out of practically unlimited. And this is not the real glory of Lord Ramachandra. What's the real glory of Lord Ramachandra? Well, it's not only saying one thing, this is the real glory and anything else isn't the real glory. Rather, Lord Ramachandra, whose spiritual body, so that's one of his glories, or a primary feature of his glories. His body is Satchitananda. And therefore, with his Satchit Ananda body, he does wonderful pastimes. And these wonderful pastimes are exactly that. Wonderful pastimes. At the same time, he appears to be mortal, although his body isn't mortal. And it's mystery. It's not exactly the glory. The glory is he's Satchitananda Vigraha. Who can say that? Satchitananda Vigraha. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hanuman offers prayers in the 5th canto Bhagavatam, chapter 19, Kim Purusha Varsha is being described, where Hanuman lives or resides for the duration of the universe, because when later text 22, this is text 20. Text 22 says, Lord Ramachandra returned to his abode, to which bhakti yogis are promoted. This is the place to which all the inhabitants of Ayodhya went after they served the Lord in his manifest pastimes by offering him obeisances, touching his feet, fully observing him as a father-like king, sitting or lying down with him like equals, or even just accompanying him. So the transcendental abode of Lord Ramachandra is eternally manifest in Haridham, the spiritual world. It's the uppermost region of Haridham, Ayodhya Dham. And when he returned, his associates returned with him, something like 60,000 some. He ruled for 60,000 years, and millions returned with him, except for one. Who stayed? Hanuman. Lord Ramachandra requested him or instructed him, you stay and sing my glories for the duration of the entire universe, as long as the sun shines. Sing my glories here in this realm. So that's what Hanuman is doing, fulfilling the instruction of Lord Ramachandra. But the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, they're eternally being manifest in the spiritual world. And they're eternally being manifest, well, they're eternally going on in the material realm, and one who has qualified vision they're taking place here. When we were in South India, we heard about the quality of devotion of King Kulashekar. King Kulashekar. What do you know about, when you hear the name King Kulashekar and think of what Prabhupada has said about King Kulashekar, what connects? He wrote some prayers, right? Mukundamala Stotra. Those are his prayers. And Prabhupada loved those prayers. And you read those prayers and you understand why Prabhupada loved those prayers. There's so much in the mood of our Sampradaya, although he's... Anyway, and King Kulashekar was a great devotee of Ram. He was a great devotee of Ranganath, but specifically also a great devotee of Ram. And when he heard, he had the Brahmins narrating the pastimes of Ram. And when he heard the pastimes of Ram, he was taking part in those pastimes. They were not like once upon a time in the past something happened. He was experiencing them in the present because they're eternal. That was his consciousness. It's fascinating. He heard about, the recitation of Ramayana, of Lord Ramachandra fighting the 14,000 Rakshasa warriors, great generals, Kara, Dushan, and others, single-handedly, while Lakshman was guarding Sita. She was in a cave, and Lakshman was standing at the front of the cave to protect Sita. Ram is standing there, fighting single-handedly against 14,000 powerful soldiers. King Kulashekar told his ministers, I can't sit here idly in my palace while Ramachandra is fighting against 14,000 soldiers. Gather the military at once. Quickly, let's go to Janastan and fight and help Ram. So they did, because he's the king. And faster, faster. And the ministers were, it's a story. It happened in another yuga. What do we do with our king? And then these things would happen. So they sent a special envoy to go north, because that's where Janastan is geographically in comparison to where King Kulashekar's kingdom was. And the advance party came back. Good news, king. Battle is over. Ram killed all 14,000 soldiers. Sita's safe. Sita, Ram, and Lakshman are now together. Ram is so wonderful. Let's go back. And then another time. So without the details, nice. Well, the ministers, when they went back to their kingdom, ministers said, what are we going to do with our king? Tell the narrator of Ramayana only to read the nice parts. No more battle scenes. Our king, we don't know what gets into him, but he, So the person who was the reader, the reciter of Ramayana, he followed what the minister said. He just read the nice parts. But one day he had to go out of town. So he had his son take care of his service for the day. He just forgot to tell the son the instructions of the ministers. So that day his son was reading Sita is being kidnapped by Ravan. And when King Kulashekar heard the whole, slaying of Jatayu and flying over Rishamukh mountain and dropping the jewels, Sita, and Sita's crying, Ram, Lakshman. He stood up. We must go at once. Sita, the goddess of fortune, my most beloved, the wife of my dear Lord Ramachandra is in the clutches of this Ravana, and I'm sitting in my palace very comfortably, eating and sleeping and enjoying. We must go at once. Gather the army. And he grabbed his sword and held it over his head and mounted his horse and started charging. And the military had to follow their king. And they followed him and followed him and followed him and followed him. And when they got to the shore, and 800 miles away is Lanka, the king he got off his horse and started swimming, holding his sword over his head. Ravana, I will slay you. I will come and finish you. Get your hands off of Sita. You're a wicked person. And deep into the ocean, and the army standing at the edge of the ocean wondering, what do we do with our king? And then in the sky, Ramchandra appeared with Sita by his side and said, King Kulashekar, it's okay. Ravana has been slain, and all of the Rakshasa horde has been slain, and I'm again with Sita. See, here's Sita. Everything is okay. You can go back to your palace now. He was so happy, but he was so deep in the water. So Ramchandra descended, lifted up King Kulashekar, and brought him to the shore, and then disappeared. And the story goes on. The point is, these are not just, once upon a time. There was a nice Leela that Ramchandra performed. He exhibited his eternal pastimes, but his pastimes are eternal. And one whose consciousness, same with Krishna, one whose consciousness becomes sufficiently elevated and purified, one can enter into those pastimes, and the Lord will directly reciprocate with him. This is a fact. So we're not limited by time and space. We're limited by our contamination. And the final verse of this section, text 23, says, O King Parikshit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy, and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that one becomes envious because of being influenced by the designation of the body. Of course, we get a body is awarded to us because of our rebellious spirit to begin with. And then once embodied, we like it, although it's the source of our misery. It's really dumb. And we're not only like it, we're attached. Even if we don't like it, we're still attached. We're implicated in the network of illusion. So how that network of illusion can be broken is by the process of hearing. We do a lot of hearing. The quality is so-so, but still it's having an effect. We would be in a much worse condition if we didn't hear. So we should try to qualitatively hear, and then this message is that the feature of envy, which obscures our vision of the personality of Godhead, gradually that disease subsides. The bodily identification is gone. And then one can understand Lord Ramachandra, or one can understand the personality of Godhead. So it's a mystery, but mystery solved by Krishna consciousness, or pure devotional service. So in that position of pure devotional service, read the pastimes very carefully, or listen to the pastimes very carefully, and it's very clear that Ramachandra moves between exhibiting his divinity and behaving as if he is ordinary. And Seamlessly he just moves between this one and that one, and that one and this one, and this one and that one. So these two pastimes that are mentioned in verse 20, that's on the board that we chanted together, the killing of Ravana and the building of the bridge. These are wonderful pastimes. But the wonderful pastimes of the Lord are just exhibitions of his divine or his transcendental nature. Prabhupada quotes in this verse, in the purport, the Svetashvatara Upanishad verse. Very important verse. It's not Puranic, it's from the four Vedas. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate swabhaviki. The last line, swabhaviki jnana balakriyacha. He performs, he doesn't have anything to do, and yet he does. That's called the pastime. He doesn't have anything to do. He doesn't have to do. We do things because we have to do things. Either we have to because there's a spirit soul animating the body and you have to do something. But those things that we have to do, religiously we have to do, it's an obligation. We have to do because we want something. It's fruitive activity. We want something, so we do something to get something. Whether it's unregulated or, atheistic, or regulated and theistic, we do something to get something. But the Supreme Lord doesn't have to get anything. And he doesn't need anybody's help to get things. There's this really nice, there's so many, but one really nice passage where Vibhishan wants to take shelter of Ram, but he recognizes as he's coming to where all the monkey soldiers are, Vibhishan is a warrior, a Kshatri. He's got, a huge warrior's body, and behind him are 4 ministers. So the monkey warriors, they're fired up. They want to get Ram, and here comes Ram's brother, and then he's prudent. He doesn't just go to Ram. He seeks their favor, says to Sugriva, could you act as my intermediary? Could you offer my words to Ram? I want to take shelter of you. Tell him, I am Ravan's brother. Ravan, who has stolen Sita. I am Ravan's brother. And I made every effort to give good sense to my brother, but he rejected it. So I've rejected him. I told him, give Sita back at once. But he wouldn't listen. So I'm here to take shelter of Ram. Please ask Ram to accept me. And Sugriva didn't want Ram to accept him. Didn't trust him, gave his reasons why. And part of the response from Ram is, Sugriva, I understand why you're speaking the way that you're speaking. You don't want any harm to come to me. You don't trust him because he could do this and that and cause me trouble. That's because of your love for me. But Sugriva, please understand. He held up his hand with the little tip of my little finger, without even the help of the other 4 fingers. Just the tip of my finger. I could destroy the entire Rakshasa dynasty. I could destroy the entire planet. I could destroy the entire universe. No one can harm me. And I don't need your assistance to do it. What to speak of my other fingers in my hand. I'm independently powerful. Don't you remember when I fired that arrow through the sal trees? And sal trees are, by the way, it's hard wood. and really thick. They're not like, some skinny little tree. And it pierced through all those sal trees and went down to the nether world, offered obeisances to Lord Kapila, and came back into my bow. Remember that? Sugriva, no one can harm me. Having said that, nonetheless, Ram was seeking advice from his ministers. There's the transcendental, and then there's the seemingly worldly. We had this discussion at a gathering last night, 2 Bhakti Vriksha groups together, and one lady was asking, it's a classic question. Why did Ram make mistakes? Question. This mistake, that mistake. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's not supposed to make mistakes. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't need anybody's help to do anything. That's what the verse is saying here. That's the real glory. He's all-powerful. The purport, Prabhupada quoting the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Whatever his pastime, this Swabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha, these are different Shaktis. Jnana Shakti, Bala Shakti, Kriya Shakti. I learned a lot about it in Brahma Samhita. Those are essential potencies for the Lord's pastime of creation. Now, that looks material. You'll create a universe. But he doesn't do anything. It's just his potencies do everything. Whether it's material creation or building the bridge or killing Ravana, his potencies are doing everything. And even having Ravana standing there in opposition to him, it's his potency. Where does Ravana get his potency from? Same thing that Prahlad said to Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad, where are you getting your power? From the same place you are, my dear demoniac father. So, who's the enemy? It's his potency. It's a pastime. It's a pastime. It's thrilling. Read the battle pastimes in Ramayana. It's blood-curdling. It's just pastime. He can withdraw all those potencies, withdraw the living entities. He can do whatever he wants to do. He's just performing pastime. Hanuman says in his very beautiful prayers, there's no question of Sita or Lakshman being separated from Ram. He says it emphatically several times. There's no question. It's impossible. They're eternally associated. It's a pastime. And then he goes into, the lamentation and sadness and troubled state of mind that Ram exhibits when Sita is kidnapped. He says, it's not possible. He's Atmaram. He's the place of shelter of all Atmarams. There's no question of his lamentation and sadness and misery. He's the Supreme Lord. So what is it? It's a pastime. It's a transcendental emotion. It's an ecstatic emotion carried out by his internal potency so he can experience varieties of ecstatic emotion. So there's an external, just like with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, we read, it's a little esoteric when you first read it. There's external and there's internal reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. There's 3 and 3 that are named in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya appeared to establish the Yuga Dharma. Lord Chaitanya appeared to fulfill the call of Advaita Acharya for him to appear and correct the disturbances in the age of Kali. He appeared to give love of God as the residents of Vrindavan are experiencing love of God, the giver of love of God in that manner or that variety. And then he had his internal reasons. So Ramachandra, similarly, external, he's teaching lessons. He's teaching the ideal king. He's teaching us about life through his pastimes. He's teaching us about loving relationships and how he does different things to enhance loving relationships so that when we're in difficulty, we can understand the hand of the Lord is behind all this to strengthen our shelter taking in him, or so many other ways of strengthening, enhancing loving relationships. Having us become freed from our contaminations so that there's purity in our relationship with him, shelter only in him. Akinchanatvam, having no other shelter but him. Ananya gati tvam. Ananya gati, having no other goal but that one thing, shelter in him. We're not there. So things happen so we can get there. And this is the personality of Godhead's kindness in dealing with us. So he exhibits those similar things in his pastimes. The lady at our gathering last night was wondering, she understood it, but she was kind of like not understanding it, So why did Ramachandra engage monkey warriors? To give them some service. Why did he ask Vibhishan how to cross the ocean? Do you have any recommendation? Yes, I have a recommendation. Samudra will help you. So then he performed a pastime that Samudra, 3 days of not helping him, he finally helped him. And then Samudra's advice was, Nala, he's the son of Vishwakarma, he'll know how to build the bridge. And he's right in your midst, just ask him, he'll help you. Oh, Nala, can you help me build the bridge? It's just giving him some service. Oh yes, I can help you build the bridge. A fantastic bridge. And it wasn't like, construction that normally takes place in India. How long it takes to do something. It was done so quickly and amazingly. Pastime. And engaging others in his loving service. That's also part of his pastime. And same for us. We're being engaged in loving service. Krishna doesn't need our service. Whatever our service is. You cook an offering or clean the floor or distribute books or dress the deity. Krishna doesn't need our service. It's our good fortune that we have some service to do. That's the reality. And he's very kind. He engages us in service. Instead of, the misguided activities that we would otherwise be engaged in, causing misery for ourselves and others. His devotees always want to see the Lord victorious in varied activities, and therefore, to please himself and them, the Lord sometimes agrees to act as a human being and perform wonderful, uncommon pastimes for the satisfaction of his devotees. When Prabhupada, just to end with this, Prabhupada on several occasions, several lectures, he analyzed, the different reasons for Krishna's appearance. Pritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskatam dharma sangstapanarpat. So Krishna can do those things through the agencies of others. He can empower someone, or he can do it through someone, send someone. So the real purpose of his appearance is to stir the hearts, reciprocate with the loving propensity of his devotees, and awaken the loving propensity of others to draw their attention to the spiritual world, and give us wonderful topics for hearing and chanting. It's another purpose altogether, transcendental, loving reciprocation with his devotees, and stirring the loving propensity in those who are not yet his devotees, or who have forgotten their position of devotion. Then this is a nice opportunity on Ram Navami, the Lord's appearance day, to remember him, become attracted to him, feel the love that he has for all the living entities that have captured in this dark place, the material world. He's come to lift us from that position. Any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for the class. I had two related questions. This is related to the section where you were saying how Lord Ramchandra explains to Sugriva why he should not be...
Lord Ramchandra does what?
He explains to Sugriva why he should not be concerned about Lord's protection.
Okay.
So I was just wondering, in Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, we hear that the devotees are not conscious of his position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
In Lord Ramchandra's pastimes, are the devotees conscious of that fact, or they're not?
More conscious of that fact. There's some... I'll make it short. I'll try to make it short. Within Goloka, there are three primary realms. And one of those primary realms is Vrindavan, and then Mathura, and then Dwarka. Successively, there's less, so Dwarka, Mathura, Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, even Krishna shows his divinity. He shows his divinity. And at least some acharyas describe like this, they understand Krishna's divinity, but the internal potency is so strong. The loving sentiment, the intimacy sentiment is so strong, it very quickly eclipses that. There's examples. Then in Mathura, we'll get to Ayodhya, but then in Mathura, there's some acknowledgement of his divinity, but that also becomes quickly covered, so that the intimacy can take place. The classic example is Krishna coming before Vasudeva and Devaki after 12 years of his being away, and they see him as God, and then he covers them so they can embrace him as their son, and Balaram. So, more Aishvarya, less Madhurya. And Dwarka, more Aishvarya, less Madhurya. And that's Goloka. And then the uppermost region of Haridham is Ayodhya, because still lots of intimacy, but also Aishvarya, more so than in Dwarka. So, but there's both, on the one hand and on the other hand. And it's all the movements of the internal potency having to do with the regard the living entities have for him, and Lord Ramachandra takes the position according to the living entities' regard for him. So sometimes the divinity, sometimes the ordinary. And then in The rest of Haridam, primarily is Aishwarya.
Thank you very much.
You know, and in all the details, where's the mother and father of Narayana in Vaikuntha? And so on. Where are the demons? Etc. So those pastimes they're there corresponding with the nature of the love of the residents of those places. And the Lord shows his pastimes accordingly, reciprocating with their love, according to their love. It's the Lord's perfect arrangement for each one of us. Something else? Okay. Short class. Yes.
This was previous. We've been reading the 7th canto, and there's description of Jai and Vijay, who've taken birth as Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, etc. So in the purports, Prabhupada mentions that these demons are always liberated, and there's some points how. We were having just a discussion the other day in one of our classes about the concept of accruing karma. Can they accrue karma? And
Goodness.
the answer was that, well, no. And then someone said maybe they have a Satchit Ananda body. But when Shishupal left...
Who has Satchit Ananda bodies? Hiranyakashipu in Ravana?
That was what someone...
No, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, the example was that Shishupal, of course, his soul merges into Krishna's body.
But the Shishupal body wasn't that. That's his soul.
Right.
Not the Shishupal body, or the Ravana body, or the Hiranyakashipu body. They're not Satchitananda bodies.
So how is it? So is there any karma, or how is it that they're liberated even in that embodiment?
Well, they're acting under the indication of the Supreme Lord. There's a in the passage in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on the cursing of Jai and Vijay. In his commentary, he writes, Jai and Vijay, they were gatekeepers. They're not just, at the gate of Vaikuntha, there's other pastimes where they were in his palace, gatekeepers or doorkeepers. That's their service. And they, being intimately associated with the Lord, they understood. The Lord desires, he has different desires. And one of those different desires is, he likes chivalry. It's one of his rasas, secondary rasa. He likes. But who is a good combatant? Nobody. Our dear Lord Narayana, they prayed, if you so desire, we can take that service. If you wish, you make some arrangement. We can take that service. So to fulfill the desire of Jai and Vijay to take that service, he made the arrangement. It goes on, it's really it's very intricate. One time, once upon a time, they were guarding, Narayana wanted to take rest, right? Narayana wanted to take rest. So he said, you please guard my door and make sure nobody comes in. I want to take rest. So the goddess of fortune wanted to see Narayana. And Jai Vijay said, no, you can't. He wanted to take rest. He said, you can't go in. So she became transcendentally upset. So when Narayana woke up, pastime, Lakshmi shared with Narayana, you know what Jai and Vijay did? They wouldn't let me in. You should punish them. He didn't want to punish them because they were doing what he had asked them to do, literally. even the goddess of fortune, he was following. But she was with that mood. She wanted him to punish them. So the cursing of Jai and Vijay was the fulfillment of Lakshmi's desire. It was the fulfillment of Jai and Vijay's desire. It was the fulfillment of the Lord's desire. And it was the support of the Brahmanas, the four Kumaras. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, just see how expert the Lord is. And things that are very complicated, we get spun out when things are complicated. For him, he just, natasya karyam karanam javidyate. He just, through his potencies, he does things. So they were transcendently situated in the sense that they were carrying out the desire of the Lord. They're in a liberated position because they're carrying out the desire of the Lord. But they behaved. They behaved, and their they weren't like actors in a drama. Supposing somebody here we're doing, Janmashtami drama, and somebody plays the role of Kamsa. They're just playing the role of Kamsa. When Kamsa was playing the role of Kamsa, he was inimical. It wasn't just a drama. And same with Krishna. When Krishna, it's a different realm. The pastimes of the Lord and His devotees, different. Not pretend. Let's pretend. Da 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 da. Okay. And then take your lunch break. Or something. Something else? Yes. With his apron on.
Hey Krishna, I was listening from downstairs, but I'm really glad that Acharya Prabhu brought up this point, because we were discussing it in a class, and the confusion really stems from this.
Which confusion?
About their bodies in particular, because since they were originally eternal associates of the Lord, the understanding is that this pastime of Hiranyakashipu being killed by Nrsingadev is happening under the auspices of the internal energy of the Lord.
Yes, but that doesn't mean the body is Satchitananda. Whoever said that, I'd be interested to see the scriptural reference saying that, because it's
presented as a question.
Huh?
It was presented as a question versus
Okay.
a declaration.
Okay, and I'm responding to the question then. Okay, anything further? Something further.
Maharaj, I was hearing one class you gave about Lord Nityananda, where I forget the devotee, but he didn't properly show respect to Lord Nityananda, and therefore he fell down.
It's right in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
So the point being that one has to worship Lord Nityananda with the exact same devotion as Lord Chaitanya. One has to approach him in the same way. So then I just am commenting, maybe you can, I'm asking, maybe you can comment on that similarly that applies for Krishna, Balaram, and Lakshman, and Lord Ram.
Sure.
So generally it seems our focus goes on the, I guess you might say the Vishaya, or rather the Ashraya, or like Krishna, Rama, we're focusing...
This sounds like a really complicated question. Do you even know what you're asking?
I'm just wondering that...
I'm wondering what you're asking.
To really manifest that means generating a lot of devotion towards Balaram, towards Lakshman.
Sure.
Hearing a lot of...
Sure.
On an equal level.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything on the ladies' side? Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.